Absolutely 100%. The Paradigm Shift, episode number 78. Consistency, commitment, determined, that maniacal drive. Big Dave, I see you on there. You sex owl. I'm going to bring you on right now. How adorable is this cat going to look? I believe he's tuning in from France. Let's find out. How's everybody doing? Drop your current state in the chats, 1 to 10. If you're 9, great. If you're 3, that's okay too. We have a special guest coming on soon. Someone from the CLS community, my good friend, Daniel Gomez, who I'm excited about. Dan, 5, less than 5. Big Dave in the house. Sex Oct. Yeah.
What's Hey buddy, what's going on?
All's well. Yeah, even better now, I get to see your handsome mug. Where are you, in France?
I actually moved on to Italy, so we're in San Remo right now and on our way to Portofino and Siena and Florence and then Amsterdam. So it's a rough life, but somebody has to lead it, you know?
No big deal. What are we looking at behind you?
This is in San Remo, the hills of San Remo, the ocean's on the other side, but it's quieter over here. So I'm sticking to where the internet is good and the quiet allows me to answer the questions you have and hopefully support our incredible guests.
Yeah, hell yeah. I just want to say it was so much fun to spend such quality time with you this week when you were in New York. And I moved a couple things around in this school, and I was able to be so present, mindful, and hang out with you, and it was really special. And I just want to acknowledge you. Love you.
Oh man, I learned a lot, and it's so nice to be able to hang out in a personal level and really learn about people and their relationships and their mindset, and see the impact that they're having, and the growth that they're experiencing. And you're someone who's had, as I brag to everyone, just extraordinary growth and extraordinary potential, and it's so beautiful to be with you and witness it. So thank you.
Hell yeah. Let's connect to goodness right now. You ready for me?
I'm ready for you.
One thing that you said at dinner at Catch this week, which I really loved, and I think this is going to be great for the audience, is to stop participating in the perception. That was really deep. It was big for me, and I think the audience could use that today too. Dave, tell us what you mean by that, participating in the perception.
Well, I think there's a nuance between responsibility, your ability to respond, and how you respond, and then my original thought pattern on accountability of how able am I to be account for my abilities. And what I used to say is, what did I do to attract this to myself, and what am I supposed to learn from it? And I think it was a little bit too much power to say that I've attracted this, that I did something to either punish or promote, because I didn't. So I changed it around and said, whether it's great things that happen in my life or horrible, challenging, painful things that happen in my life, the real key component of accountability is, how am I accounting for? In other words, how am I participating in the activity or perception of others and myself? And when I take accountability by accounting for my participation in other people's hurt or other people's joy or other people's expectations or my own, I now have a sense of control, because there's only one thing to do when I take full accountability and participate in that perception, and that's to see what lessons, what light, and what love I can find in it. And so if you want to truly be accountable, then I want you to not only ask yourself, what am I doing to participate in that perception, but what am I supposed to learn from it?
Unbelievable.
I taught tons, man. You're breaking up a little. Hopefully you can hear me, but yeah.
You'll never lose me. So deep, David, and I love it. Also, something else that you were talking about. You also talk about in your book, and for the audience listening, like, Dave does so many things. There's so many things that you can follow, but I would really suggest grabbing his book, Connected to Goodness. And you were talking to me about this at dinner. One of the big things that I had to learn, and I'm still learning, is getting out of my own way. And one strategy that you have, Dave, is whenever you have a negative thought that's disconnecting you from where you want to be, you say, cancel on the spot. How powerful is that for you?
It's so powerful because, when we look at time as a quantifier of our intention, meaning that how many minutes or moments are we spending, or how many days, weeks, months are we spending in our own way, creating interference of 5 different activities of not only what we do, are we doing everything in a trajectory of what we want? Are we two saying everything in that trajectory? A lot of people don't think words matter. They matter. Are you thinking everything? Are you believing everything? And are you feeling everything aligned with or synergistic to that trajectory of what you think you want? And when I hear, think, say, believe, or do, or even feel something that's not aligned, the best way to do it is to put it out there and just cancel it. If I can say it out loud without freaking out everybody else, when I went to the football game with the Glenn Lundy when the Chargers kicked up, the Raiders' butt, he kept on saying stuff like fumble, fumble, interception. I'd be like, cancel, cancel, cancel. So cancel out all those negative thoughts. Utilize the 5 levels of intention in order to effectuate what you do want. Get out of your own way by identifying it and canceling it, and you will be in the flow. Things do not have to be at dis-ease. They can be at ease with the free will to clear away what's interfering with you and what you want.
The intellectual iguana at his finest. We're going to bring in Gomez, who I'm really excited about, a good friend of mine. In the meantime, Dave, while I bring him on, I saw an injury report that your boy Herbert broke a rib or might be injured. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, it's not broken. He has bruised ribs. He's day to day. Luckily, he has some days off because we outplayed the Chiefs, but the score didn't and wasn't indicative of it. And I always say, the best teams they can overcome injury and bad calls. And I think the Chargers have some lessons to learn, but they definitely have the talent to go all the way.
Hell yeah! Speaking of all the way, there he is, Dynamic Gomez. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Love you.
Love you, man. Good morning, Craig. Good morning, Dave. All the way out there in France, man. Good to see you, brother.
Well,
Thank you, my friend. I'm in Italy. The intelligent iguana is in Italy. It's all eyes today.
DG, love you so much, brother. For the audience that might not be familiar, he's a great friend of mine. He's on fire, doing his thing, really blowing up his speaking career. I had the honor of speaking at his event last month in San Antonio. Let's kick it right off. One of the things that you always talk about that I love, Dan, is you can never surpass your own image. And this is something that I've really had to work on over the years, and I think it'll be a great message for everybody. Tell us what you mean by that.
Yeah, the limits for all human beings are self-imposed, right? The limits of all human beings are self-imposed. There's really no limits, just the limits we put on ourselves. But the biggest thing that limits us is our self-image. Most people, we have a poor self-image as we're growing up. We're taught things like, right? Don't say that, hush, be quiet. So we're taught to dim our light. So we never allow ourselves to be the person that we were created to be. And the one thing, as our business started growing, I started self-sabotaging myself, and I'm like, why is this going on, right? And I had to be honest with myself. And I had a poor self-image of myself in certain areas, and I had to do the deep work within myself. And to really get to the next level of life, the next level of business, you have to be honest with yourself. What is it within myself, deep down inside myself? What is causing me to not go to the next level? Why? It's not Craig's fault. It's not Dave's fault. It's right. It's what are you projecting out to the world? And most people don't have the confidence in themselves to really walk in the self-image that they need. If you want to be a successful businessman or woman, you need to grow that self-image to become a successful businessman or woman. If you want to become a multimillionaire, you got to grow your self-image. And this is the thing. Something happened to me because I walked into this opportunity, into this huge room. And this is a thing that stops most people, Dave and Craig, is we feel a sense of not belonging. We walk into this room, the energy is so high, so vibrant, and guess what? There's a part of us that says, I don't belong here. And rather, instead of feeling uncomfortable until you grow and rise to that level, some of us just leave, or we just say, those people are stuffy. They're just not for me. But really, it's you that is the issue.
Hell yeah. Dave, this kind of reminds you of participating in the perception.
Yeah, it does. And I want to piggyback on the genius that we just were shared and those nuggets that were dropped, because I think, Ed Milet and I share a lot of conversations about the thermostats that we put on ourselves. And I've delved deep into the relativity of time and the construct of time and how it impacts the limitations that we do put on ourselves. And I want to give a little bit of insight to that, the past is unlimited and so is the future. But the past is only limited by the meaning that we give these historical defined moments. What friends we had when we were kids, how much money we had when we were kids, or who our parents were, if they went to school, if they didn't go to school, if they went bankrupt, if we can change the meaning of the defining moments of our past, we can take away those limitations, which then are utilized in the present. And there is one limitation in the present today, and it's 24 hours. And I think it's important for people to reconcile the relativity of limitation with time, meaning that today you need to be as productive, accessible, and gracious, as active as possible. Activity you have paid for, activity you don't get paid for, activity that your sleep, and all of these under the context of a lens of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. But if you figure out the meaning that puts you on that trajectory of unlimited, infinite power, and you utilize time as if the future is infinite with unlimited power, now you can get out of your own way and start really identifying the fear that you have that is limiting you from being the all-powerful, omniscient, all-knowing being that you're connected to and through. And this reconciliation of time from past, present to future is part of the narrative of being able to nurse those limitations, curse the limitations, and rehearse new unlimitations that you have. And that's my new word for the day, the unlimitation of the world and of your essence. So thank you so much for giving
Boom,
us
baby.
that
There's a boom right there. That was a mic drop.
And
And you know, and I love what he said, because this is the thing. When they started talking, he was talking about words, right? You know, the biggest difference is ladies and gentlemen, I want you to write this down. The moment you start changing your words, the moment you start changing your conversations, that's when your business, your life's going to change. Because if you never change your dialogue, if you never change the words, like Dave said, what are conversations? They're words. So you got to change conversations. And the reason you have to put yourself with people like Dave and Craig and go to these different events, or just hire a coach, is because their conversations are up here. And if normally the average human being, their conversations are down here. Not that the words are better, but that the conversations are deeper. They're more elevated. They have a higher frequency. I was just in California with a great friend of mine, Don, right? Multi-millionaire, over and over and over. But he says, Daniel, everything is energy and frequency, including your words.
yeah,
Oh, yes.
and also like Dan recently. And look, one thing that we all share in common is an ego, and we're all working on it. Some of us better than others. Dan, I know you said you put your ego aside and you started hanging out with people that were a little bit further ahead, realizing that they're not your competition. They're just a little further ahead, and they can help you accelerate your.
Yeah, for sure. Like, just really, like, when I met you and Dave, I was blessed to share the stage with y'all in January. And the old Daniel Gomez, to be honest with you, the old Daniel Gomez would have probably walked in there from 2 years ago as competition. I wouldn't have approached Dave. I wouldn't have approached Dave and asked him for a picture. I wouldn't have approached you and said, "Hey, Craig, give me a picture," because that's the poor-minded mindset, right? You got to get rid of that, because your ego gets in the way. I can do it by myself. I'm better than them. And you go in there with a fighting attitude. No, you got to let your guard down, put your ego aside. And hey, Dave, let's take a picture. Hey, Craig, let's take a picture. And because of that, me and you just became really close friends, Craig. And you had something out there that had nothing to do with me. But I said, you know what? Why not spend time and money to go up there and spend time with Craig on his 1 year anniversary? And I just celebrated you, not expecting anything in return. And we just bonded. So you got to put your ego aside. You got to put your pride aside. And you really got to celebrate, like, not just at a shallow level, because there's too much shallow BS already out there, right? You got to go deep and say, you know what? I'm going to go up there and just have a good time with Craig, and whatever happens, but I'm going to enjoy my experience. And guess what? We got closer. I mean, I feel like I can call you and you can call me and we can talk about whatever. And it's just real life.
Hey, what are you smiling at?
Well, number one, how right Dan is. You know, I just spent some time personally with Craig on my last trip to New York, and he's bragging about Dan to me, asking me how well I knew Dan, encouraging me to get to know Dan. So you never know, you know, when you put that energy, your frequency is your neighborhood, and we want to have neighbors that have options, opportunities, and touches of favor for us. There's no doubt that we're all competitive. And it's how we use that competition, because comparison is not how we use a competition. Comparison is the thief of joy. But if we want to be competitive to enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent pursuit of our own potential, if we want to be competitive to raise and elevate our own selves by, number one, elevating others, right? The fastest way to get to where you want to be is help other people get to where they want to be. And the second fastest way is to ask people who are already there for directions. And if you're competing with the stop signs, if you're competing with the turn left signs, if you're competing with the people who are going to pull you with them, then you're making a huge mistake. You're creating resistance, void, shortages, and obstacles that the people that are, as you said, maybe a little ahead of you on your journey or sitting in a situation, how do you think they got there? I'll tell you how they got there 2 ways. They help somebody get to where they want to be, and somebody helped them get to where they are today. And they know that. And so those are the people you want to surround yourself with. Those are the people that you want to be of service and of value to. Stop competing with the people that most can help you, most love you, can teach you the lessons so you don't have to pay the dummy tax yourself. And that's exactly what we're doing here today.
You really don't. That was all. Saturday, get back with your family. Short answer, Dave. We'll land the plane with this. Tell us how important it is to yourself.
Say it again. You broke up. Say it again.
Tell us how important it is to forgive yourself.
Oh, so forgiveness is the reconciliation. So the reason it's so important to forgive yourself is you can't give what you don't have. And when we go to a level of forgiveness, because remember, hurt people hurt people. Hurt people
Yes.
hurt people. So, and also people unintentionally, right? We're participating in that perception. So if we can forgive ourselves and say, hey, I forgive myself for feeling this way, for thinking this way, for doing this or saying this. I forgive myself. I promise you, you cannot attack the indefensible. You cannot attack those who are forgiving. Forgiveness is a shield of love that is unbelievable because nobody can get to you. If you're a forgiving soul, you can say whatever you want about me, you, my friends. I forgive you. Now, what power do you have over me? Zero, zippo. So be forgiving, start with forgiveness, then move on to love and happiness and pray for not only your love and happiness, but other people's as well. Hey, we're hanging out in Italy, man. Like no better place. I will check. I'll be in Amsterdam next Saturday before we get this thing done. Dan, let's hook up. You're more than welcome to come out and visit me anytime, wherever I am in the world. Thanks so much, man.
Awesome, Dave. Have a good time out there, Dave.
Thank you, guys.
Dan, real quickly, what's the best way for the community to support you, brother?
You know what? Just really go out there. I really want to bless people with the makings of a millionaire mind. Go get this book. This book's going to help you. What Dave was saying was this, right? When you walk into a room, when Dave and what Craig were saying is, really, you don't have anything to prove. If you walk into a room knowing that you don't have anything to prove, the walls come down and you just enjoy you enjoy the conversations, you enjoy the company. But if you walk in there with an ego that's showing that you have something to prove, you don't have anything to prove. So this book is going to bless you with the mindset to really help. These are, and it's not just a book about money. It definitely includes money, but it's really growing your self-image. And this is the most thing I've seen, Craig and Dave, is that most people undervalue themselves. And because they undervalue themselves, they overproject a false self-confidence. False self-confidence is not going to get you in the winner's circle. You got to be humble and you got to ask for help and surround yourself with people like Craig and Dave because they love you and can care about you. So go to themakingsofaMillionaireMind.com. Get your book, get our course, because it's going to change your life. I guarantee it.
Love you both so much that it's concerning. David, Dan will speak in a little bit. Have an unbelievable Saturday, guys.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. Woo! Thank you, guys.
Too much fun. The Paradigm Shift, episode 78 in the bag. We'll be back next week for 79. Everybody have a great weekend. And don't forget to sharpen the axe straight up. DG, I love you, buddy. And we'll chat a little bit later today.
All right, brother. Love you, brother. Much love, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.